The Draconian Empire was one of the most powerful and feared forces in the galaxy. With their massive fleets, advanced technology, and brutal reputation, they had conquered countless worlds across distant star systems. For centuries, the Draconians ruled with an iron fist, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. No civilization had dared to stand against them. But now, Earth, the small, insignificant planet in the corner of the galaxy, was their next target. The Draconians had been watching Earth for some time, analyzing its rapid technological growth. They saw humans as a primitive species, barely able to defend themselves against a full-scale invasion. The Draconians believed that conquering Earth would be an easy victory, just like every other world they had taken before. But Earth was different in one crucial way. It had never been part of the Galactic Empire. No one had ever dared to challenge the Draconians on their own turf. When the Draconian fleet first entered Earth's solar system, it was impossible to miss. The ships were enormous. Massive warships equipped with weapons capable of wiping out entire cities in seconds. Their arrival sent shockwaves across the galaxy. News spread like wildfire, and every civilization that had ever felt the sting of Draconian aggression held its breath, waiting to see how Earth would respond. The Draconians wasted no time. They broadcast a simple message to Earth's governments, their voice cold and commanding. Surrender now, or face the consequences. The message was clear. Earth was to submit without question or be destroyed. For many, it seemed like the end was near. Earth's military was strong, but it was nowhere near powerful enough to face an empire as vast and advanced as the Draconians. The people of Earth were terrified. Some panicked, fearing for their lives. Others whispered about the possibility of surrender, hoping it would spare their families from the coming devastation. But not everyone was ready to give up. In every corner of Earth, a sense of defiance began to grow. People, no longer willing to bow to the demands of the Draconians, stood firm. The leaders of Earth's nations met in secret, discussing their next move. They knew the odds were against them, but they couldn't allow themselves to give in to fear. The message from the Draconians had been clear, but so was their resolve. Humanity was not going to surrender. Despite the overwhelming power of the Draconian fleet, Earth's leaders refused to yield. The President of the United States, the heads of state from the European Union, and leaders from nations across the globe came together to issue their own response to the Draconian threat. They would not surrender. They would fight. The response was simple but defiant. We will not bow to your empire, leave our planet, or face the consequences. It was a bold statement, one that shocked the galaxy. No one had ever dared speak to the Draconians in such a manner. Most galactic civilizations would have fallen to their knees at the mere threat of invasion. But Earth was different. Earth had a spirit the Draconians didn't understand. As the Draconian fleet continued to approach, they had no idea what they were up against. They had underestimated humanity in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. Earth's technology was still primitive compared to theirs, but humanity had something more: their unyielding will. They didn't know the full extent of what Earth could do, but that would soon change. The Draconians had been certain that they would overwhelm the Earth's forces with ease. But there was one thing they didn't anticipate: Earth's hidden resources, buried deep within its history, just waiting to be discovered. Humanity had secrets, ancient ones, that the Draconians could never have imagined. And soon, these secrets would come to light. As the fleet drew closer, Earth's leaders knew they had only one chance to survive. They had no choice but to fight, no matter how impossible it seemed. The Draconians would not be given the victory they expected. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and no one, neither the Draconians nor the rest of the galaxy, could have predicted the outcome. Humanity was ready to prove that, even in the face of overwhelming odds, they would never give up without a fight. The Draconians were about to learn that there was far more to Earth than they had ever imagined. The fate of the planet and the galaxy was about to change forever. As the Draconian fleet closed in, the final countdown began. The people of Earth held their breath, waiting for the storm to break. Would they be crushed by the Draconians, or would they rise to the occasion and defy the odds? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Earth would never go down without a fight. The Draconian fleet, after receiving Earth's bold response, prepared for what they thought would be a swift and devastating invasion. The vast warships glided through space, their powerful engines pushing them closer to Earth. Thousands of soldiers, battle-ready and eager for conquest, waited for their orders. The galaxy held its breath, knowing that the Draconians were unmatched in their military might. The fleet's arrival was expected to be followed by a ruthless bombardment of Earth's defenses. But something strange happened as the fleet entered Earth's orbit. No shots were fired. No laser beams flashed across the skies. Instead, a deep silence fell over the entire fleet. It was as if the universe itself had held its breath. The first sign that something was wrong came when the fleet's communication channels went silent. For hours, no messages were received. Earth's military forces watched from their command centers, waiting for the inevitable attack. But nothing happened. No threats. No orders to attack. The silence grew even more unsettling as the hours passed. Then, the impossible happened. One by one, the Draconian warships began to disappear. At first, it was just a glitch, one ship, then another. But within minutes, the entire fleet was gone. The Draconians had vanished without a trace. It was as if the fleet had never existed at all. The radar systems, which had once tracked every movement of the ships, now displayed empty space. The fleet that had threatened Earth just hours before was gone, and no one knew why. Panic quickly spread among the Draconian High Command. Communication with the fleet was lost. All attempts to reconnect with the ships failed. Every sensor reading from across the galaxy confirmed the same strange phenomenon. The Draconian fleet had simply vanished. Back on Earth, confusion spread like wildfire. The leaders of the planet gathered in emergency meetings, trying to make sense of the situation. Had the Draconians retreated? Was this a trick? Or had something even stranger happened? The world's military forces prepared for a possible counterattack, but none came. What just happened? The President of the United States asked, staring at the holographic map of the solar system. Where did they go? The scientists and military experts were equally baffled. No technology known to Earth could cause such an event. The Draconian ships were equipped with the most advanced cloaking systems, but nothing that could make an entire fleet disappear in an instant. Yet all attempts to contact the fleet's flagship came back empty. The news of the fleet's disappearance spread across the planet. People who had feared the worst now found themselves faced with an even bigger mystery. If the Draconians were gone, what had caused their sudden departure? And why hadn't they made any attempt to attack? For the rest of the galaxy, the news was just as puzzling. Galactic leaders, who had long feared the Draconians' power, watched in disbelief as the fleet's disappearance was confirmed. What could possibly have made such a fearsome empire retreat without warning? Some began to speculate that Earth had done something unimaginable, that had forced the Draconians to leave. But no one could explain what that something was. The galaxy was left in a state of stunned silence. Some alien races, who had long been oppressed by the Draconians, saw this as a sign of hope. Perhaps the Draconians were not as invincible as they had once believed. Others, however, feared that this disappearance might be part of a larger, more dangerous plan. What if the Draconians were waiting for the right moment to strike, using their sudden absence to deceive their enemies? Back on Earth, scientists and military leaders worked around the clock, trying to uncover any clues. Was this the result of some kind of new weapon? Had Earth unlocked some ancient technology that could have caused such a strange event? But all their efforts turned up nothing. The Draconians, once visible and menacing, were simply gone. Despite the uncertainty, one thing became clear. Earth had done something that no one had ever thought possible. The Draconian fleet, the greatest force in the galaxy, had disappeared in the blink of an eye. No one could understand how or why, but Earth had somehow caused the greatest military empire to retreat without firing a single shot. As the days passed, the world held its breath. What would happen next? Had Earth truly defeated the Draconians, or was this just the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous game? The galaxy was still reeling from the shock, and Earth, once seen as a tiny, insignificant planet, had become the center of attention. The fate of the Draconian fleet had shaken the galaxy to its core, and no one, human or alien, could predict what would happen next. But one thing was certain. Earth's mysterious role in the disappearance of the Draconian fleet had forever changed the balance of power in the galaxy. And whatever happened next, Earth would no longer be viewed as weak and defenseless. The world had just proven that even against the greatest threat, it was not to be underestimated. The disappearance of the Draconian fleet was a mystery that the galaxy couldn't stop talking about. On Earth, it felt like the world had been handed a second chance. But no one could fully relax. The questions were piling up. How had the fleet vanished? Why hadn't they tried to fight? And most importantly, what did this mean for Earth? Across the planet, from small towns to massive cities, people were trying to understand the situation. The mood was mixed. Some were hopeful, believing that Earth had somehow caused the Draconians to retreat, while others were worried that this was only a temporary break. After all, the Draconians had the power to destroy entire civilizations. Could they be planning something worse? Governments around the world held emergency meetings, trying to figure out the next steps. Military leaders worked together with scientists to investigate the disappearance, but every effort seemed to lead to more questions than answers. There were no signs of the fleet leaving Earth's orbit. No trace of energy or weaponry from the Draconian ships could be found. It was as if they had just disappeared into thin air. A special task force was formed, led by Dr. Emily Carter, a brilliant astrophysicist who had been studying space anomalies for years. Dr. Carter was known for her logical mind and ability to think outside the box. She had no answers for what had happened to the Draconians, but she was determined to find out. She gathered a team of experts in various fields: astrophysicists, military strategists, and engineers, to work together. The task force set up a massive research center just outside of Washington, D.C., where they began analyzing every piece of data they could find. They scored the records from Earth's satellites, looking for anything that could explain the fleet's disappearance. What they found was baffling. There was a strange energy signature near the last known position of the Draconian fleet. It didn't match any known technology, and it wasn't something Earth had ever encountered before. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Carter said, staring at the data on her screen. "This energy signal is unlike anything we've studied. It's not from any weapon or ship. It's something else entirely." The signal was faint but persistent, almost as if it was trying to hide itself. It wasn't a traditional form of energy that could be detected by normal instruments. The task force worked day and night, trying to determine its source. After a week of investigation, they had a breakthrough. The signal was coming from deep within the Earth itself. "We think it's coming from underground," Dr. Carter explained during a press conference. "We don't know how, but something deep beneath our planet is generating this energy. It's almost as if the Earth itself has been protecting us." The idea seemed impossible. How could the planet generate such a powerful, unknown energy? But as the task force continued their research, the truth began to emerge. The Draconian fleet had been stopped, not by Earth's weapons or defenses, but by something ancient, something hidden. Meanwhile, people around the world were still trying to make sense of it all. The news of the fleet's disappearance had spread across the galaxy, and many races that had once feared the Draconians now looked to Earth with new interest. Some began to wonder if humanity had discovered a secret weapon, something that could rival the power of the galactic empire. For the first time in history, Earth was no longer seen as a weak, insignificant planet. It was becoming a symbol of resistance, of a species that could stand up against the greatest powers in the galaxy. Yet, despite the growing pride, the truth remained elusive. No one knew how or why the Draconian fleet had vanished, but the possibility that Earth had somehow played a role was becoming harder to ignore. As the investigation continued, Earth's leaders were careful with their public statements. They didn't want to raise false hope, but they couldn't deny the evidence that was starting to pile up. The Draconian fleet hadn't simply retreated, it had vanished. Something had happened to them, and Earth was at the center of it. Dr. Carter's team focused their efforts on locating the source of the mysterious energy. The signal had originated from a specific region of the Earth's crust, a vast, unexplored underground network that stretched across many continents. The task force began sending teams to investigate, but what they found beneath the surface of the planet was even more surprising than anyone had expected. Deep in the Earth's core, the teams discovered ancient structures, ruins that seemed to belong to a civilization far older than humanity itself. They were built with technology that didn't belong to any known species. It was clear that the Draconians weren't the first beings to visit Earth, and whatever this ancient civilization had left behind, it was powerful enough to stop the Draconians. Back in the research center, Dr. Carter and her team worked furiously to analyze the ruins. As they decoded the strange symbols and uncovered the secrets hidden beneath the Earth, they realized that this was only the beginning. Earth had been a silent witness to a much larger story, one that stretched across the galaxy. The Draconians were gone, but the questions remained. What had they discovered on Earth? And what were the ancient civilizations hiding beneath the planet's surface? The galaxy would soon know that Earth wasn't just a random, insignificant world. It was a place of unimaginable power, a world that even the mightiest empires in the universe had learned to fear. As Dr. Carter's team uncovered more about the ancient underground ruins, the mystery deepened. The symbols they discovered on the walls of the vast caverns beneath Earth were unlike any language known to humanity. They were intricate and complex, yet seemed to carry a familiar message, one that pointed to a long-forgotten power hidden deep within the planet. The scientists were both excited and cautious. Every new discovery seemed to open up more questions. How could such an advanced civilization have existed on Earth long before humans had even begun to explore the stars? And more importantly, why had they left these incredible structures hidden beneath the surface of the planet? One of the most perplexing aspects of the ruins was the energy source embedded within them. Dr. Carter's team had initially thought it was some kind of dormant power, but as they examined it more closely, they realized it was actively generating energy strong enough to interfere with the Draconian fleet systems. It was as if the ancient civilization had designed a safeguard, a defense mechanism that had been lying in wait for centuries. "This doesn't make sense," Dr. Carter said to her team one evening as they reviewed the data. "These people must have known that Earth would one day face threats from outside. This technology, it wasn't just built to last, it was meant to protect." The team's discovery sent shockwaves through Earth's government. The possibility that an ancient civilization had prepared Earth for an invasion long before humans could ever imagine was both thrilling and terrifying. The leaders of Earth knew that their newfound knowledge could change the fate of the galaxy, but they also feared that someone else, someone much more powerful, might come looking for the very same secrets. As the research continued, Earth's leaders held a global summit to discuss their findings. Military leaders, scientists, and diplomats from every corner of the world gathered to formulate a plan. The Draconians might have disappeared, but their intentions were still unknown. Was this just a temporary retreat, or was there something more behind their sudden disappearance? The Draconians might have realized that there's something here on Earth they cannot defeat, said General Harris, one of Earth's top military strategists. They might have retreated to regroup, but they won't forget. We need to be ready for anything. But not everyone was worried about a possible Draconian return. Some believed that Earth's role in the galaxy had shifted forever. "We've done the impossible," said President Eleanor Hayes during the summit. "The Draconians flood without firing a shot. That's not something we can ignore. We have the potential to shape our own future now." Despite the optimism, Dr. Carter and her team continued to dig deeper into the ancient ruins. They discovered that the civilization that had once inhabited Earth wasn't like anything in the galaxy's history. Their technology was advanced, far beyond anything humanity had yet achieved, but their way of life was remarkably peaceful. The team began to piece together evidence that suggested this civilization had known of other races, other threats, and had taken precautions. One of the most stunning finds was a massive underground chamber, filled with strange, glowing stones. These stones emitted a hum of energy that seemed to vibrate with a frequency beyond human understanding. Dr. Carter theorized that these stones were not just a source of power, they were a form of communication, a way for the ancient civilization to leave messages across time and space. When the team activated one of the stones, they were met with a visual display unlike anything they had ever seen. It was a projection of distant stars, a map of the galaxy as it had existed thousands of years ago. But something else was visible, an enormous symbol, one that seemed to represent Earth itself. It was clear that this symbol had been placed there deliberately. Earth was not just a random planet in the galaxy. It was part of something much larger, something that had yet to be fully understood. "This is incredible," Dr. Carter said as she studied the projection. "This symbol, it represents Earth, but it's connected to something much bigger. This civilization knew more about the galaxy than we've ever imagined." The implications were staggering. Earth had been chosen by an ancient, unknown civilization for a reason. The Draconians' sudden retreat might not have been a random event. It could have been a sign that the ancient protectors of Earth had activated their defenses in time to stop the invasion. As the days passed, Earth's government became increasingly concerned about the growing number of alien factions that were beginning to take interest in the planet. News of the Draconian fleet's sudden disappearance had spread far beyond the galaxy, and now other alien races were sending ambassadors and scouts to Earth, eager to learn more about the hidden secrets beneath the planet's surface. Some factions saw Earth's newfound power as a threat, while others viewed it as an opportunity for alliance. But one thing was clear: Earth's place in the galaxy had changed forever. The planet, once considered insignificant, was now a focal point for galactic powers, both friendly and hostile. Dr. Carter's team worked tirelessly to decode more of the ancient technology. They realized that the energy field generated by the ruins was just the tip of the iceberg. The true power of Earth lay deep beneath its surface, in a hidden chamber, sealed for millennia. If they could unlock its secrets, Earth might gain access to abilities far beyond their wildest dreams. But with these revelations came a new set of dangers. The Draconians might have retreated, but they weren't the only threat in the galaxy. Whoever controlled the ancient power beneath Earth would hold the key to the future, and Earth had just become the most important planet in the universe. As the investigation continued, Dr. Carter couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something monumental. Earth's fate was no longer just in the hands of its leaders. It was tied to the mysteries hidden deep within the planet. The next move would shape the future of the galaxy forever. As Earth continued to explore the ancient ruins beneath its surface, the attention of the galaxy turned toward the planet. News of the mysterious energy signal and the sudden disappearance of the Draconian fleet had spread like wildfire. Every major galactic power now had its eyes fixed on Earth, each one wondering the same thing. What was hidden on this insignificant world that had made even the mighty Draconians retreat? On Earth, Dr. Carter and her team were racing against time. The deeper they went into the ruins, the more they uncovered, but there were still so many secrets left hidden. They had activated several energy sources beneath the planet, and each one seemed to reveal new cryptic information. But the team had one major question: what did the Draconians discover before they fled? Why had they left so suddenly? Dr. Carter could feel the weight of the galaxy's gaze on her. Earth was no longer just a quiet corner of the universe. It had become the center of attention. As the team worked in secrecy, news of their discoveries leaked out. Within days, representatives from alien factions across the galaxy arrived, requesting meetings, and making promises of alliances or trade agreements. The first to arrive were the Caldari, a race known for their advanced technology and deep knowledge of ancient civilizations. Their ships were sleek, designed for long journeys, and their leaders were quick to assert their curiosity about Earth's newfound importance. They sent an emissary, a tall, silver-skinned diplomat named Sorlin, to meet with Dr. Carter and Earth's leaders. "We've heard of your findings, Dr. Carter," Sorlin said, his voice calm yet filled with intrigue. "The Caldari have studied galactic history for centuries, but we have never encountered anything like this. We offer our help in deciphering the ruins beneath your planet. Together, we can unlock the secrets that have been hidden for millennia." While Sorlin's offer seemed genuine, Earth's leaders were cautious. They knew that the galaxy was full of political maneuvering, and that not all the visitors had peaceful intentions. Still, they couldn't ignore the potential benefit of collaborating with such an advanced race. The Caldari were one of the most respected factions in the galaxy, and their knowledge could help Earth understand the full scope of its newfound power. But as talks with the Caldari began, other factions followed suit. The Vrelians, a race of hyper-intelligent beings with a mastery of quantum mechanics, sent a delegation. The Xantari, a fierce warrior species known for their battle prowess, arrived with an offer of protection. And then, there were the Mort, a mysterious and secretive race whose reputation for manipulation preceded them. Each faction came with their own agenda, eager to gain access to Earth's secrets. For Dr. Carter and her team, the growing presence of these alien races was both exciting and overwhelming. They had already uncovered so much, but they knew they couldn't do it alone. The knowledge hidden beneath Earth was vast, and the power it held could change the fate of the galaxy. But who could they trust? As Dr. Carter sat with Sorlin in a secure meeting room, she weighed the options carefully. "We appreciate your help, Sorlin," she said, "but we have to make sure that whatever we discover down there doesn't fall into the wrong hands." Sorlin nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "I understand, Dr. Carter. The Caldari are not interested in taking control of Earth. Our goal is knowledge, and we believe that what you've uncovered is not just important for Earth, it's important for the entire galaxy. But we also recognize that there are others who may not share our peaceful intentions." Word of the growing galactic interest in Earth spread quickly. Some factions were eager to form alliances, while others prepared to make their moves in secret. The Draconians, still reeling from their unexplained defeat, had sent their own emissary to Earth, though they had not yet made a public appearance. It was clear that Earth's role in the galaxy was changing, and with it, the balance of power. In the coming weeks, a grand summit was organized, bringing together all the alien representatives to Earth. The event would be held in a neutral location, far from the research centers where Dr. Carter and her team were working. It would be a chance for all factions to present their cases, make their offers, and most importantly, determine how to move forward with the discovery on Earth. Dr. Carter, though nervous about the political implications, knew that this summit could be a turning point. Earth would have to decide how to share its newfound knowledge, and with whom. She couldn't help but wonder how the ancient civilization beneath Earth had managed to keep such power hidden for so long. Had they known that one day, this moment would come? As the day of the summit approached, Earth's leaders prepared for the inevitable challenges ahead. They knew that with great power came great responsibility, and the galaxy would not simply stand by while Earth unlocked its secrets. The true test would be finding the right balance between sharing the power and protecting it from those who might seek to misuse it. On the eve of the summit, Dr. Carter took a moment to reflect. The galaxy was watching, and the future of her planet was on the line. Would Earth emerge as a new power in the galaxy, or would it be consumed by the very forces it had hoped to protect itself from? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: Earth had forever changed the course of galactic history, and nothing would ever be the same again. The day of the summit arrived, and Earth stood at the crossroads of its future. The grand meeting, attended by representatives from several galactic factions, was to take place in a large, secure dome facility on Earth's moon. This neutral ground would ensure that no faction had an advantage, and it allowed everyone to meet under the watchful eyes of Earth's leaders. Dr. Carter felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She had spent countless hours deep beneath the surface of Earth, unlocking the secrets of an ancient civilization. But now, as alien ships arrived in orbit and diplomats from various races filled the summit, she realized just how much was at stake. The power they had uncovered could shape the future of the galaxy, for better or worse. As Earth's leaders prepared for the summit, there was a growing tension in the air. Diplomatic talks were not easy, especially when powerful factions from across the galaxy had their own plans. Everyone had their eyes on Earth, and each race had a different interest in the ancient technology buried beneath the planet. Dr. Carter and her team were seated at the heart of the summit, surrounded by representatives from the Caldari, the Vrelians, the Xantari, and even a lone Draconian emissary. The room was filled with tension, each faction waiting for the other to make the first move. While most of the factions spoke in calm, measured tones, Dr. Carter couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more going on, a hidden agenda. Dr. Carter, Sorlin, the Caldari diplomat, said, his voice calm but firm, "We offer our assistance in deciphering the ruins beneath your planet. Together, we can ensure that the ancient power you've discovered is used for the benefit of all races. Earth will no longer stand alone in the galaxy." Dr. Carter nodded, carefully considering his words. The Caldari had made their intentions clear. They wanted to assist, but their offer carried weight. The Caldari were not known for their selflessness, and she knew they had something to gain from this discovery. Still, their advanced knowledge could be invaluable in understanding the ancient technology. But as the Caldari spoke, Dr. Carter noticed something strange. The Draconian emissary, a tall and imposing figure in dark armor, had been silent for most of the summit. His eyes were fixed on her, and there was a cold, calculating look in them. Dr. Carter couldn't help but wonder. Was he here to negotiate, or was he waiting for something? She leaned toward Sorlin, lowering her voice. "What do you think he's planning?" she asked. Sorlin's eyes flicked briefly toward the Draconian. "The Draconians are unpredictable," he said quietly. "They've lost a fleet, and they're not known for letting such defeats go unnoticed. I would not trust them, Dr. Carter. They will try to manipulate this situation if given the chance." Dr. Carter nodded. The thought of the Draconians trying to take control of Earth's newfound power sent a shiver down her spine. She had no doubt that their retreat from Earth was only temporary. They were regrouping, planning their next move. She could feel the tension building, and she knew it wouldn't take long before something would happen. As the summit progressed, representatives from the Xantari and the Vrelians presented their own proposals. The Xantari, a fierce warrior race, offered to provide protection for Earth in exchange for access to the ancient technology. Their warriors were among the best in the galaxy, and their presence could offer security in a time of uncertainty. The Vrelians, on the other hand, had a different approach. Known for their intelligence and mastery of quantum technology, they wanted to form a research partnership with Earth. Their goal was to study the ancient power, to understand its origins, and to use it to advance their own understanding of the universe. But as the discussions continued, a small group of Earth's leaders began to grow more anxious. They had been receiving troubling reports from various sources. Scouts had observed unusual draconian activity near the borders of their space. There were whispers of another fleet, and rumors that the Draconians were preparing for a second strike. It was then that Dr. Carter realized that the summit was not just about gaining allies. It was about finding a way to defend Earth from an impending threat. The ancient power they had uncovered was the key to survival, but how they used it would determine whether Earth could withstand the coming storm. At that moment, the Draconian emissary stood up. His movements were slow, deliberate, and every eye in the room turned to him. "The Draconians are not here to beg for your forgiveness," the emissary said in a deep, resonating voice. "We have already made that mistake. But Earth's secrets belong to us. We have fought for centuries to gain control of the knowledge hidden on this planet. You may think you have won, but we have only just begun." The room fell silent. Dr. Carter could feel the tension rising as the draconian emissary's words hung in the air. It was clear that they had underestimated the resolve of Earth's leaders and the power hidden beneath their feet. The draconians weren't going to let go of Earth so easily. Sorlin shifted uncomfortably beside Dr. Carter, and the Xanteri representative narrowed his eyes. Everyone in the room knew that the situation had just become much more dangerous. "Do not mistake us for weaklings," the draconian emissary continued, his gaze fixed on Earth's leaders. "We will return for what is ours. And when we do, you will have no choice but to submit." Dr. Carter could feel the fear in the room. The threat was clear, and Earth's leaders knew that their survival depended on what came next. But as she looked around the room, she also saw something else, a shared determination. They had uncovered something far too important to let it fall into the hands of the draconians. This was no longer just about diplomacy or power. It was about survival. The fight for Earth had just begun. The room was tense. The threat from the draconians loomed large, and the representatives of the other factions were already preparing for the worst. Dr. Carter stood silently, watching the draconian emissary with a mixture of fear and determination. The words he had spoken were clear. The draconians were not finished, and Earth was far from safe. But as the room fell into an uneasy silence, something remarkable happened. The human leaders, who had been waiting for the summit to end so they could return to the safety of their homes, suddenly realized that they were no longer alone. The future of Earth rested in their hands, and they could no longer rely on other factions to protect them. The time had come for humanity to take its place in the galaxy. Dr. Carter turned to face the representatives. She could see the uncertainty in their eyes, but she also noticed something else, a flicker of hope. Earth had always been seen as a young and fragile species, but now they had the power to stand up to even the most feared races in the galaxy. It was time for them to unite and show the universe that they were not to be underestimated. "We will not bow to threats," Dr. Carter said, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "Earth will stand on its own, and we will protect what is ours. The ancient power we've discovered is a gift, and we will use it wisely." Her words resonated through the room. The Caldari, who had initially offered assistance, now seemed to hesitate. They were not accustomed to seeing such resolve from Earth. Sorlin, the Caldari diplomat, gave her a measured look before nodding. "The Caldari will stand with you," Sorlin said. "But we must ensure that the technology is used responsibly. We cannot allow it to fall into the wrong hands." The Xanteri, who had remained quiet throughout the summit, also spoke up. "We, too, will offer our support. Earth's survival is important, not just for you, but for all of us. If the draconians return, we will fight by your side." Dr. Carter felt a surge of gratitude. These races, who had once seen Earth as weak and insignificant, were now offering their help. But she knew that they could not rely on others forever. The draconians were a powerful force, and Earth would need more than just allies to survive. They needed a plan. "We need to unlock the full potential of the ancient technology," Dr. Carter said, turning to her team. "If we can harness its power, we can defend Earth and ensure our place in the galaxy." Her team, who had been working tirelessly in the underground chambers for weeks, nodded in agreement. They had made incredible progress, but they still had much to learn. The ancient civilization that had left these secrets behind was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. If they could decipher its full capabilities, they would have the tools to protect themselves and their future. As the summit continued, discussions shifted to strategy. The human leaders proposed an alliance with the other factions, but it was clear that Earth would need to take the lead. The time for waiting was over. The draconians would not be given the opportunity to strike again. The draconian emissary watched the proceedings from the back of the room, his expression unreadable. He had underestimated Earth, and now he could see that his plan to intimidate them had failed. The The humans were not backing down. He had expected them to cower in fear, but instead, they were rallying together, ready to defend their world. The summit finally came to an end, and the representatives from each faction left the room with a renewed sense of purpose. But as the leaders of Earth gathered in the control room, they knew that the real work was just beginning. The Draconians would not give up easily, and they needed to be prepared for whatever came next. Dr. Carter stood by the large holographic map that displayed the various Draconian fleets scattered across the galaxy. "They're regrouping," she said, her voice tinged with urgency. "We have to act fast." The leaders nodded, and a plan began to form. They would build a fleet of their own, using the ancient technology to power their ships. The Kaldari, Xantari, and Vrelgans would provide support, but Earth would be at the forefront of the effort. They would no longer be a passive player in the galactic drama. They would take charge of their own destiny. The first step was to unlock the energy sources hidden within the ruins. Dr. Carter and her team worked around the clock, deciphering ancient blueprints and integrating them with Earth's most advanced technology. It was a race against time, but the fate of the planet depended on their success. Months passed, and the new fleet began to take shape. The ships were unlike anything seen before, sleek, powerful, and capable of harnessing the immense energy stored deep within the Earth. Each ship was a masterpiece of human ingenuity, infused with the ancient knowledge that had once been thought lost to time. And then, one day, the fleet was ready. Dr. Carter stood on the command bridge of the lead ship, looking out over the vast expanse of space. The stars seemed to shine brighter now, as if the universe itself was waiting for Earth's next move. "We are ready," she said, turning to the crew. "It's time to show the galaxy that Earth will not be ignored. The Draconians will never threaten our world again." With a final command, the fleet launched, heading toward the stars with unwavering determination. Earth had come into its own, and the galaxy would never be the same again.